Gerald Posner, God's Bankers, A History of Money and Power at the Vatican. Delve into the fascinating and often controversial financial history of the Vatican in Gerald Posner's God's Bankers, A History of Money and Power at the Vatican. This book explores the intricate financial dealings, political alliances, and investment strategies that have shaped the Roman Catholic Church's wealth and power throughout history. Key highlights include the Church's financial relationship with fascist governments, its murky involvement in mafia money laundering, and the impact of the euro on Vatican finances. The summary unravels this complex web of connections to provide a captivating look at the unique financial world that lies within the walls of the Vatican.
The Vatican's controversial history. For over a millennium, popes were supreme leaders of the Roman Catholic Church and its unchallenged monarchs. The Church generated much of its income through the sale of indulgences, which funded the Sistine Chapel and St. Peter's Cathedral in Rome. However, the Church lost much of its wealth during the 18th and 19th centuries as European countries began separating church and state. In 1871, the Italian nationalists passed the law of papal guarantees, granting the Pope and Vatican special privileges and tax breaks. The Church's traditionalist stance against modern capitalism, free speech, democracy, and the separation of church and state persisted. The Vatican's secretive financial methods became apparent in the early 20th century, with its primary moneyman investing heavily in the Bank of Rome as it expanded in British colony Egypt. World War I disrupted church donations, and Pope Benedict XV invested in Austrian stocks and accepted secret donations from Germany while lobbying against Italy joining the Allies. Mixed signals contributed to the 1919 Paris Peace Conference excluding the Vatican. The Vatican's complicated ties. The Church's relationship with Mussolini's fascist government in 1929 led to the signing of the Lateran Pacts, which designated the Catholic Church as the sole Italian religion, provided financial compensation, and gave the Church control over 108.7 acres of land. This windfall made the Church very wealthy. The Pope remained silent during the Third Reich's reign to protect the Church's business interests, which yielded significant profits. The Church suffered during the Great Depression but rebounded by declaring a holy year to generate donations and pilgrimages. Vatican representatives and fascist party members sat on the corporate boards of most large Italian companies, further cementing the Church's financial power. The Catholic Church's complicity in the Holocaust. The Catholic Church's behavior during World War II was driven by self-preservation. The Church and the Nazis initially mistrusted each other, but soon developed a truce. In 1933, Cardinal Pacelli, who later became Pope Pius XII, signed the Reichskonkordat with the Nazis, guaranteeing tax breaks and the right to practice their faith for Catholics. In return, bishops had to give an oath of loyalty and special prayers to the Third Reich. Hitler intended to quash the Church like Mussolini, and the Nazis collected payroll tax on all Catholic Germans on the Vatican's behalf. Many German priests assisted fascist authorities by submitting their church records to establish who was Jewish. While Pius XI tried to distance the Church from anti-Semitism, he died before he could draft the encyclical condemning the Holocaust. When Berlin's bishop tried to mobilize fellow bishops to condemn the deportation of Jews and warned they would be answerable before God for their silence, no one supported him. Pro-German Pius XII became pope in 1939 but failed to combat the Holocaust. Thousands of Catholic clergy provided intelligence about the Holocaust as it happened. Vatican's role in World War II. During World War II, the Vatican's Institute for Works of Religion, also known as the Vatican Bank, operated as a neutral financial institution and had a unique advantage in Allied transactions. Bernardino Nogara, the bank's creator, utilized this advantage and made questionable investments that included links to investors involved in companies that refused to honor Jewish-held life insurance policies and investments. The Church's obsession with fighting communism also led to the use of Vatican ratlins to help Nazi war criminals escape. The CIA used these ratlins too, giving them an additional layer of deniability. Vatican's prioritization of anti-communism. After World War II, the Vatican, under Pius XII, actively fought against communism with the financial support of the U.S. The Pope even threatened to excommunicate anyone associated with communism. However, the Vatican's lack of action against the Holocaust perpetrators seems contradictory to their stance against communism. Despite this, Pius XII's policy of church involvement in politics against communism was revived by John Paul II. Additionally, through Nogara, the Vatican played a significant role in rebuilding Italy following the war. The Vatican's financial scandals. In the late 1960s, Italy experienced economic unrest, causing the Vatican's high-profile investment stakes to be scrutinized by the increasingly intrusive press. The Vatican chose to become a passive investor, hiding behind its unique offshore-like status, and holding more non-Italian investments. The Vatican Bank had over 11,000 accounts, but only 1,000 belonged to Catholic organizations. To maintain profitability, the Vatican relied on ambitious men of confidence, including Sindona and Calvi, who were later embroiled in scandal and convicted/hanged. The Vatican refused to share its records and relied on long-serving cleric Paul Marcinkus to issue authoritative denials. Despite his tarnished image, Marcinkus remained invaluable to Pope John Paul II in fighting communism. Since the IOR wasn't answerable to any central banking authority, it was the world's best offshore bank. Uncovering the Vatican's shady past. The Vatican's involvement in illicit activities is revealed in a web of connections, including mafia money laundering links, Swiss bank accounts, and ghost companies in Panama and the Cayman Islands. A well-known scandal involved the Ambrosiano Bank, resulting in the Vatican's payment of a $244 million voluntary contribution to acknowledge its moral involvement in the bankruptcy fraud. The Vatican's legal immunity from search warrants and court appearances frustrated authorities, allowing criminal investigations to reach but not progress beyond the IOR's doors. Church sex abuse scandals. The Catholic Church faced financially draining sex abuse scandals in the U.S., spending $2.2 billion to settle claims by nearly 100,000 victims. The Vatican contained liability within local dioceses, leading to a number of bankrupt American dioceses. Vatican complies with modern rules. The Vatican had to abandon its offshore business methods due to the advent of the euro. Although insiders suggested minting a Vatican currency to avoid transparency, the Church eventually complied with EU regulations after the September 11 attacks. The Vatican lost its sweetheart relationship with Italian authorities, and Pope Francis hired reformers and replaced the old guard to show he was serious about modernizing the Church. The message was clear: to participate in the modern world, the Vatican had to adopt modern rules.
The story of Vatican finances, as told in God's Bankers, is a captivating account highlighting the controversial and often secretive financial dealings that have shaped the Church's wealth and influence throughout history. From its connections with fascist governments to involvement in mafia money laundering, the summary has demystified the complex connections and financial strategies underpinning the Church's power. It also emphasizes the challenges faced by the Vatican in adapting to the modern financial landscape, and introduces Pope Francis' promising efforts to reform the institution. This enlightening journey through history offers valuable insights into the intersection of religion, politics, and finance.